As Harry and Meghan's fake royal tour rumbles on, and we told you recently, it's not necessarily getting the highlighted media that they had hoped for. It's all their own fault as ever though, because clearly they didn't want that expansion of media. And a lot of media, as I also pointed out, don't have enough money to cover fake royal tours, you know. They spent a lot of money in the last few years covering real royals, so the bottom line is they have to be very selective. And as you can see, this is something of a farce. I mean, there you have Harry and Meghan visiting a school, wittering on about social media intrusion, digital platforms, and it's all about really them. It's nothing really to do with the children. You can see the exploitation from the off, really. These kids don't really be able to afford phones over in that particular country. It's not as well versed as it is, say, over here in the United Kingdom, and I'm sure in many other areas of the world. So what was the point of that? Point was, of course, that the woman's a fan, liked the Netflix series, and they decided to get a free holiday, jollies out of it. But what's interesting about this particular story, and I wanted to highlight this to you because, as you know, over here in the United Kingdom, both Harry and Meghan have openly stated that they will not be returning until their security detail is sorted out. By that, they're like at least 7 armour-plated cars, lots of people wandering around on walkie-talkies, making them look important. You know, like the A-list celebrities. Sadly, they're not. Whatever they think, it's plummeting on a daily basis. You can tell that, in fact, because over here, the leading publications, things like the Telegraph, the Times, they're shoving them well down the list, even on digital platforms, whereas before they would have been the banner at least for 2 to 3 hours. So it's not really resonating in the possible way that they had hoped. But here's where it gets even more fascinating, because as we know, Harry and Meghan were very concerned the last time they were here, and Harry in particular when he turned back for the Invictus Games up in Birmingham, and of course in St. Paul's, was the booing, you know, the people chanting, being negative to them. It's a bit of a thing that he's not used to. He's always been incredibly popular. Now, even more controlling over in Colombia is this. You see, the crowds are underwhelmingly lackluster. And when I use the term crowds, I'm being very kind. You know, the camera won't show this, but there's literally people that are hustled together. You know, they can't believe it, their team can't believe it, but of course they've been told that people are concerned about security, that sort of thing. That's the reason why there's not enough crowds. So what happened to the children? Well, apparently, you know, again, this particular individual, Franny Marquez, thought that the children would be coming. You see, this is the story, isn't it? Apparently Archie and Lily would have loved to have visited the country, but at the 11th hour they decided not, because they didn't want to put any more strain or financial burden on who is funding the tour. Very wise, I'm sure you'll agree. But it's interesting to note, isn't it, that how many more times could one suggest that these invisible children will be turning up to certain things, and then because of whatever reason, Archie not being well, she's making a cake, so he has to miss the coronation. You remember all of those things? Well, sadly, they're nowhere to be seen. For now, though, the one thing that still is nowhere to be seen is apparently the adoring fans that they so much love. Literally, if you're looking for fans and fan base, it's certainly not in Colombia, and that has proven to be a huge shock for Harry and Meghan. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.